What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock and talk about something that actually came out just a couple of days ago that is about NIO's deliveries. Now, the reason I didn't talk about this earlier is because there was so much going on when it came to CPI and earnings that I wanted to just save this for a Saturday. I did actually briefly mention this, that they did not do too well under deliveries, but it is excusable because of the fact that there was Lunar New Year and other things going on. So I'm going to actually break it down for you guys, talk about what's going on with it, why NIO's overall deliveries are still on a good pace due to the fact that NIO is investing in different places around the world to increase their production capabilities. But deliveries for the month of January 2023 were still not the best. So I'm going to break it down for you. I'm going to talk about what's going on with NIO and their deliveries. But before I do that, let me mention a couple of things. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner, take none of this as financial advice. I'd also appreciate it if you guys smash the like button down below. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, check out the Moomoo link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks, plus you'll have free level 2 data and also $0 commission trading. So with that out of the way, let's talk about NIO. NIO is actually down about 6% for the day. It did almost exactly what I predicted in my previous videos. I did mention the fact that NIO had this head and shoulders like formation that developed right here, and we were going to likely see this continue to decline, and it is starting to underperform relative to the markets. And this is what tends to happen to NIO when they give us deliveries which are not the best. So now looking at the data, let's look at this right over here. I want you guys to know something before I show you the number, and that's the fact that the entire China was basically uh, closed in a way. It basically slows down because of Lunar New Year. It started in the middle of the month, and half the month it was just like on shutdown mode. People do not actually do a whole lot during that time. They're long holidays, and this is why typically in China, whether it's for Tesla, Xpeng, Li Auto, BYD, all these companies see massive, massive decreases. Now, I want to talk about why we see big decreases in deliveries, and it has to do with many different factors. We saw right here that Xpeng saw a big decrease by about 60% just from that month. NIO was down, I think, like 40 plus percent month over month because of that. And there are many other things going on at the same time. Now, I also believe that this could have to do with a big decrease in demand for cars across the world. We are seeing signs of that. And this is something that NIO really has to deal with. Seeing right over here, NIO actually gave us their delivery update, about 8,500 deliveries in just January, with the total deliveries of almost 300,000. So total deliveries is good. I'm not going to like really get too angry at NIO for this because once again, it was the Chinese New Year holiday. I would rather wait until a time where we don't see something like this. But I do want to note that NIO did provide over 1 million power swaps to its users, among which 300,000 swaps were completed at a NIO power swap station along the highways, with 11,000 swaps which were flexible battery upgrades. So very awesome to see things like this. But now let's look at the charts. If you look at January 2022, NIO actually got over 9,652 deliveries. For January 2023, only 8,000. So kind of disappointing. I'm not really happy to see this happen. But then once again, it was a long holiday, and there are things going on in the economy right now that is causing demand to slow down. We actually saw an even bigger decline from Xpeng and Li Auto. So it is what it is, right? I don't want to say too much about this though, because you have to remember the fact that we still need to see what February and March and other months are like before we can actually come to a big conclusion. And that's because, this was just one exception of a month. This month tends to be very slow. All right. So now looking at some more data, we can see the total deliveries right here of almost 300,000, 2,190 SUVs, 6,000 plus sedans. So once again, guys, it wasn't the best. I really don't like to see the fact that NIO had a decline compared to January 2022. And even though January 2022 is not when the major lockdowns were happening, NIO should have beaten on that. And I do believe that there's something they have to work on, whether it's even more price cuts, whether it's trying to get more incentives to get more people to buy these cars. whether it's something else out there, right? So this is kind of disappointing to me, but it's not the end of the world because we still need more data. And we also have to note there were, slowdowns because of the Lunar New Year. That also could play a very, very big role. So what I'm basically theorizing is the Lunar New Year is all they're mentioning, but it could be something else that's going on in China. Demand is likely slowing down. We're seeing the save rate increase like crazy. And if you put this side by side, because they're doing something very smart, they're not showing the older monthly deliveries from 2022. If you look at them, they had numbers like this, crazy, crazy high numbers. And then the 8,000 would be like way down here where my cursor is. So they do not want to show such a big decrease. That's understandable. It's kind of like this. See how they have this like 9,000 and the 5,000 right after? A big decrease like that. We would have saw it like right here if they showed January, but it is what it is, right? It is what it is. So now this is likely going to cause NIO to continue to underperform, but it's not the end of the world because of the fact that going into the future, NIO is now going to be incentivized to do even better in February. Remember when NIO had these really bad months back in April and May 2022 due to the lockdowns and supply chain constraints? Well, June came and then NIO killed it and they blew everyone away. So the new upgrade plans that we are seeing for NIO Park and the new expansion plans we've been hearing about all over China, that could actually help them start to kind of like offset what just happened. I believe they are going to come back much better. And this is one of those situations where you can't just give up on the company or not necessarily give them a chance. This is like a boxing match, right? There are 12 rounds in a year, 12 months in a year, 12 rounds. We just finished round one. We were kind of weak, but the later rounds coming, we can make a big comeback. So I'm really hoping NIO could do that. NIO really needs to get more and more people to buy their cars. We need to incentivize more people, and we have to find different ways, whether we have to cut prices or whatever it takes. It is what it is. I also want to note that there was something else going on that did at least contribute to some degree, and that's the fact that there was this like balloon that was flying around the US. And I do believe that it basically came down, or I read somewhere that that happened, but the US wasn't responsible for why that happened. I mean, there's just so much going on. It's a mess. And now they're saying that we're seeing more of them in near Latin America. It's a mess, okay? And the problem with news like this is it's leading to lots of tensions between the US and China. And seeing tensions like this is not good for lots of Chinese stocks. So please be very, very mindful of this. This is out of NIO's control because when I talk about NIO, I'm looking at the fundamental analysis of the company. And as a company, I like a lot of the things that they're doing. I love the fact that they're working on potential smartphones. I love the expansions. I love the power swap stations. I think it's working very well in China. And I think that the ability and the fact that their cars are very adaptive to be charged manually and also swap, that's very awesome. I think their cars are stylish, they look very advanced. I've actually gone over their models in the past, and I think that the company has so much potential if you just give them a chance and you give them time. Like Tesla, when it was starting off, they had lots of hard months, they had lots of hard times before they grew into a giant. And I believe NIO has the potential to become a giant as well. Right now, things are tough. Things are difficult. We're seeing demand slow down in China, most likely. That played a very big role in this happening. Things are very difficult for everyday people. People are saving money at higher rates than ever before in China. And we're also seeing a big, big, big amount of changes coming to the banks over there. Not going to go into too many details, but it's very difficult. And the bottom line is when we see things like this happen, even if the US stock market is also contributing to it, because we did have some red days, at least on Friday. So all of these things are kind of like not working in NIO's favor. And I do believe the stock price is not going to likely get a very strong performance because of this. And if the US does get a big reversal, the US stocks and etc., because of CPI, that could also have a negative effect on NIO. So I just wanted to put this out there. I did mention to you guys that I saw some bearish price action on NIO previously, and that is what is playing out. And there is likely going to be more to come as we have a lot of unfilled gaps way down here. I don't think we finished filling all of them. Uh, So it is what it is. Hey, it's not the end of the world. On the daily, let me check the MACD for 1 second. On the daily, we're about to see the PPO crossover. We're seeing the RSI declining, and we're about to get lots of bearish momentum right over here. So it is what it is, guys. I'm so sorry that this happens, but it is the stock market. There are going to be many instances where companies go through hard times. And as an intelligent investor, the best thing to do is remain rational and do what is best for your own portfolios. So I'm not giving you financial advice. If you think that this is another opportunity to dollar cost average, you are free to do that. If you want to just sell and you give up, it's all up to you. That's really your choice. I just put the facts out there. NIO did not have the best deliveries report, but I'm still confident if this company does anything right, that is making the comebacks. If you give them time, I believe they will make a historic comeback, and I'm still very bullish long term. I think the economies of the world, whether it's China and the US, they're going through lots of stress right now, and that is leading to some slowdowns, especially for NIO's share price. But if you are patient and you never give up and you just give the company the time it needs, I still believe in its future. I believe in its fundamentals, and I think it's a very, very strong company going forward. Be patient, do what you have to do. I'll see you guys in the next one. NIO to the moon, because the long term future, in my opinion, is still very bright. And peace out.